This was a few years ago and I was talking to this attractive local girl on Snapchat. I had no idea that this was about to be the most confusing year of my life. It was late into the second lockdown and we had been texting for a few months now. She was a nice girl and I really wanted a girlfriend. Everything seemed to be going well. The first confusing thing, she seemed really interested in me. So I decided to take the risk and ask her out to just go on a walk together. And this was a month before the lockdown started, so we were actually, legally allowed as well. I sat and waited for a response on Snapchat. I don't think I can right now. I'm scared of going out. Scared of going out? Right, weird reason, but okay. I know she can be anxious, so I'll take her word for it. I ask her a couple more times over the next couple months, and before I know it, she's starting to act distant, which is making me feel really bloody anxious all the time. I was hooked on her like crack, and I would keep messaging her. I promise you could talk to me about things. I'll help you through it. Just know you can trust me. This went on all over Christmas. I'm still saying I'll be there for her. I still thought it was mental health issues. We'll get to that. But early January 2021, after 3 months of texting her, she says she doesn't want to talk anymore. But this broke my heart into pieces. Bear in mind, I hadn't even met her yet, so it's a bit weird. So I replied saying, but I can help you through this. Still thinking it was like mental health stuff. But I got longed off. I was being a little weasel, pussy weasel. I hadn't even met her, geez. She seemed to be interested in me, especially at the beginning. But when I asked her to meet me, she would always say no and give an odd reason for not meeting. Oh, but Kian, I know. She said it was mental health. Look, I do not blame you for thinking that too, because I was in the same boat as you back then, and this took me literal years to realise the truth, mate. The truth is that if a girl is genuinely interested in you, and not just appearing like she is to you, she will never make up an excuse to not meet you. She will always say yes if she genuinely likes you, and if she actually can't meet, she would still reschedule for another day. But then why would she not meet you if she seemed interested? This was a bitter pill I had to swallow, but the reality is that some girls will act interested in you because they enjoy the attention you give her. But if she likes texting you but keeps making up wishy-washy excuses to not meet, then that is an immediate sign that she doesn't think you're good enough to meet up. And trust me, mate, you will never be able to change her mind if this is how she feels about you. The only mature thing to do is to move on and stop talking to her. It seems too uncertain to know if that's what's happening. That's the point, mate. It will always be uncertain. You will never have a clear-cut answer that she is not interested. So the best thing to do is move on when it becomes confusing. But the second confusing thing was when she said she didn't want to talk anymore. She said it was mental health, so why would that not mean talking to me anymore? It's because most girls are really nice and they don't like straight up telling a guy if they're not interested anymore or you've repulsed her with your excessive kindness. I know this feels like a gut punch, but you have to hear me out, mate, because I took all her words literally. When the moment she said she wouldn't meet, I should have disappeared. Girls hate neediness and they hate a guy that acts like she is their only option. Girls can sense it, but they won't tell you when they don't like you anymore, usually. That's like 90% of the time. This girl I was texting probably started off genuinely interested in me, but over time became quite repulsed by how forward and needy I was, saying things like, "Oh, I really like you. I can't wait to meet you." If she airs your message or keeps you undelivered for days, she's no longer interested and we have to move on. The third confusing thing, I was so hurt by this happening to me, being longed off, so I realised I had to go away and fix myself. One morning the pain was too much, so I texted her saying I was going to unadd her and get over this, and she said okay. I unadded her from everything. I started to work out. I found stoicism. I spoke and met up with friends more. But the most confusing thing happened that took literal years to understand why it actually did even occur. Suddenly I'm getting an anonymous texter popping up on my iMessages. Then I've got mutual friends texting me saying, look, this girl really wants to talk to you. The same girl that I just got longed off by. And somehow for a month I had the willpower to have these messages keep popping up of this girl desperately wanting to talk again, updating me on how much better she was feeling and all that shit, but I didn't reply to her. But what the fuck, bro? The moment I step back and start focusing on myself, she's sending these desperate messages acting like she's really interested in me again. It seemed too good to be true. Because it was. A month later, I finally text her back and we start talking again. I'm coping, saying like, yeah, I'm ready to start talking. What? You're fucking ready to start talking? Are you an idiot? And within a month, she's acting distant again, rejecting all of my advances, everything to try and tell me that she's not interested. What the actual fuck, geez? So she rejected me just for me to disappear and her wanting desperately for me to come back, only to start talking to her again, for her to reject me again. Look, it seems confusing on the surface, but it's so obvious to me why she was giving such confusing mixed signals now. When a girl rejects you or breaks your heart or anything that hurts you and you disappear and she's suddenly acting really desperate to you again, it's not because she realised she made a big mistake and wants you to be with her. It's not, mate. Please hear me out. They're doing something called a beta shit test, alright? Yes, we're going to use cringe terms like alpha and beta, alright? Buckle in, buddy. The reason she rejected me in the first place is because over time she realised I was way too clingy, too attached, and too overbearing. Girls hate that shit, alright? No matter what they say. And because of my actions, she viewed me as a beta. So I disappeared for a while, and what she was doing is she was testing me to see if I would continue to act like a pussy. The moment I texted her back and was texting her pretty much every day, she knew that I hadn't changed, and this was repulsive to her. And that's why it's such a big trap. It seems like she wants you, and maybe she sort of does in that moment, but only if you don't respond ever, which is why it's a lost cause to talk to the same girl twice. I proved to her that I wasn't strong enough to just move on, so she lost interest in me twice. This is what I needed to hear at 18, mate. If she makes any excuse to not meet you and doesn't reschedule, assume that she is not interested. No matter what she tries to tell you, mental health or like something else is going on, you have to watch her actions and not listen to her words. If you move on and she's desperately texting you now, I'm not gonna lie, it feels nice when it seems like a girl wants you back, but she is testing you and you have to block her. And this is the most important thing of all. If she started off interested in you, but for any reason she's not interested or acting like something has happened and you can't be together, there is no excuse. You are the reason she lost interest. I know that's hard to accept right now, but there was something about how you spoke to her that put her off. It might have been the neediness, the texting her every day, straight up telling her too soon that you really like her. She's scared of saying she doesn't like you now. Stop hoping she'll change her mind and like you back if you give her enough compliments, and figure out what you were doing that put her off you. Every confusing thing she does comes from the fact she isn't actually into you anymore, but is too scared to tell you. And it's our fault, not her fault, our fault for not seeing the signs and moving on immediately. Now, I know that if I would have heard all this at 18, I would not have believed it. I'd still be coming up with these shit excuses for her, like, yeah, but she seems like a really genuine girl and mental health issue. Just look, every film about love growing up told me to act exactly like the way I was acting. I was never told that it was actually repulsive. And there's so much more about how I acted than I can fit in this one video. If you want to learn more specifically about why acting how you are repulses girls, then click the video on the screen. It's all about something called polarity.